Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to Drawing Down the Stars. I'm Snappy, and thank you for joining us for our live tarot reading, November 27th, 2024. It's a beautiful day and a wonderful evening. Let's give a shout out to everyone here in the chat. It's great to see you, Atma. Much love, Cynthia. Gandhi, much love. Good to see you, Beatnik. Hollerhaint, much love. Valerie, much love. Carrie, great to see you. Steve McQueen, much love. Nikosmas, much love. NA, great to see you. Beautiful. Love seeing you guys. Amazing. All right. So let's talk a moment about the astrology. So today we are in the moon in Scorpio. The moon in Scorpio is intense energy. We're all going to be feeling this in a really deep and profound way. Scorpio is that energy of, in the moon, it's that emotional vulnerability and sensitivity. On one hand, we can go to the depths on the self and really have this ability to connect intimately and truly with others. But at the same time, there is this incredible sensitivity. We wear our heart on our sleeve and we will interpret things in a very personal way. And especially combined with that energy of Sagittarius and our sun, where Sagittarius is that outgoing energy that wants to move, that wants to change, that wants to be in flow. So when we combine this with that Scorpio moon, we're going to be very sensitive and we're really going to feel the pressure. But at the same time, if you can be true and you can learn to dial back that sensitivity a bit, you can truly connect to your loved ones and the people in your life in a profound and intimate way that you can't at other times. You can really go to the depths of yourself, be embodied, be in your true emotional connection and express it in a profound and intimate way. So embrace this energy, be close to your loved ones and be open about how you feel, but also try to not react so intensely if things turn to be negative, right? Or at least even if they are perceived to be negative. You know, Scorpio in the moon sometimes misreads these things because of that sensitivity. All right. So let's talk for a minute about the title, Embrace Creativity in All Its Forms. When I was meditating and thinking about what to title this, I drew the card, the Empress, the divine feminine in all of its totality, the most profound of that feminine energy in the minor arcana, right? And it is representative of all of those women, all of femininity, all of creativity. You know, the feminine is that which dons other masks and takes on new forms, that works through others, that embodies that creative output in all of its forms, that creates of the self, that dives into the depths of the unconscious mind and gives birth to form, right? And this is not limited to a literal procreation, right? The feminine is so much more than that. It's creation in all its forms. All types of art and change are embodied in this energy. So we must learn to embrace that change and embrace that creativity and create of the self, of that unconscious mind. So that is the energy for today. And I wanted to read for you guys a beautiful poem. Let me see here. It's called Mother by Lola Ridge. Your love was like moonlight turning harsh things to beauty. Oops, sorry, we got a weird pop-up there. Okay. Your love was like moonlight, turning harsh things to beauty, so that little wry souls reflecting each other obliquely, as in cracked mirrors, beheld in your luminous spirit their own reflection, transfigured as in a shining stream, and loved you for what they are not. You are less than an image in my mind, than a luster. I see you in gleams, pale as starlight on a gray wall, evanescent as the reflection of a white swan, shimmering in broken water. You, inevitable, unwieldy, with enormous births, lying on your back, eyes open, sucking down stars, or you kissing and picking over fresh deaths, filth, worms, flowers, green and succulent pods, tremulous gestation of dark water germinal with lilies, all in you from the beginning, nothing buried or thrown away, only the moon like a white sheet spread over the dead you carry. Speeding gull, passing under a cloud, caught on his white back, you, drop of crystal rain. Now you gleam softly, triumphant, folding immensities of light. You have always gotten up after blows and smiled and shaken off the dust. Only you could not shake the darkness from off the bruised brown of your eyes. Centuries shall not deflect, nor many suns absorb your stream, flowing immune and cold between the banks of snow, nor any wind carry the dust of cities to your high waters that arise out of the peaks and return again into the mountain and never descend. Beautiful, profound imagery of that great mother. Love it. All right. We're now going to go to our Ganapati oracle. Ganesha Ganapati is the divine child, the Lord of beginnings, the guardian of the threshold, the master of the Ganas, the spirits. And we ask them to send us a message and inspire us this evening and ensure that our words are heard by those who need to hear them. And today's message from Ganapati is blessings. Blessings. How beautiful, profound energy. Now is the time to look around you and recognize the blessings in one's life, to recognize the incredible love and joy and profound expressions of existence, to look at all of the beauty, the things that have been gifted to you, the people who love you. What a beautiful energy, too, before Thanksgiving for our American friends. You know, it's that energy of really accepting and learning to see all of the joy and love around you, and to recognize that the muses, the goddess herself, is looking out for you, right? Beautiful. Love to see it. Such incredible, profound energy. All right. We're now going to go to our our sortes. And today we're going to begin, the sortes is a form of bibliomancy, that is, divination through literature. And it comes to us from the Greco-Roman tradition. And we invoke the goddesses, the divine muses, and ask them to send us a message and inspire us through the text. And today we're starting with Lev Grossman, the magician, a well-loved tome, as you can see. So muses, what is the inspiring message from Lev Grossman and the magicians? Inspire us. It's okay, Quentin. It was nice, the sex, I mean. You do realize it's all right to have nice things sometimes, right? You do realize it's all right to have some things, some nice things sometimes, right? Wow. You know, that love can be fun. That love can be the joy of the other, of play, of engagement, of just experiencing the moment. And that in of itself is a beautiful blessing, right? The love and frivolity, engagement, just expressing joy for being alive, to embrace the pleasure and desire in that moment. There's nothing wrong with this. This is beautiful. And we often need to take a step back and just be in that moment of bliss, in the love of another, and to engage in that mutual, reciprocal satisfaction. Life is beautiful. Take the moment to embrace it, especially if you have someone to share it with. Love it. All right. We're now going to go to the White Goddess, Robert Graves. Muses, what is the message from Robert Graves? Inspire us this evening. Since Maid Marian had been acting as Lady of Misrule in the Yuletide revels and deserting Robin for his rival, it is easy to see how she earned a bad name for inconstancy. Thus, Maud Marian was often written for Maid Marian, Maud is Mary Magdalene, the penitent. Wow. You know, we often expect the feminine to bind itself, right? To be absolute and true to men and to their possessions. And we do not allow them to be able to flip their poles, to be able to change their mind or to move on to other things, and often that feminine is reduced and taken into something that's extreme. But we need to understand that these things that women are just like men and are just as entitled to their own joy and their own passions and their own ability. And just like anyone else, they go through the cycles, the poles flip, and they move from extremes. They move between partners. They experience growth and love and transformation. Mary Magdalene is one of the most important and special figures within the Christian religion. And yet, many people struggle with her because of their ridiculous sense of judgment. If you're Christian, God themselves didn't judge her. Why are you? Right? And yet our entire culture does. Why? Right? We need to understand and unpack these things and engage with these things. And we need to see people in their totality and not hold people to alternative standards, right? Why do we allow one sex some sort of freedom and another or not? Right? Why do we allow some people blessings and then judge others? We want to try to be in that reason and that balance. Let's continue. All right. We're now going to go to L'Autrement, Malidor, and other poems. Muses, what is the message from L'Autrement? Inspire us. In a flowery grove, the hermaphrodite sleeps a deep, heavy sleep, drenched in his tears. The moon's disk has come clear of the massive clouds, and with its pale beams caresses his gentle adolescent face. His features express the most virile energy as well as the grace of a celestial virgin. Nothing about him seems natural, not even the muscles of his body, which clear their way across the harmonious contours of a feminine form. Wow. He has one arm around his head and another around his breast, as if to restrain the beating of a heart which can make no confidences laden with the heavy burden of an eternal secret. Tired of life and ashamed of walking among beings who are not like him, he has given his soul up to despair and wanders alone like a beggar of the valley. By what means does he live? Though he does not realize it, compassionate souls are watching over him near at hand, and they will not abandon him. He is so good, he is resigned. How beautiful. The hermaphrodite, that image of the hermaphrodite is so important to the magical process, right? It's that one that can transcend difference, that can move between the poles and understand the totality of self, who can know themselves intimately and recognize the duality of our nature, masculine and feminine. Recognize that in the earliest Greco-Roman myths, humanity was one single form, created by Prometheus, dual-headed of two bodies attached at the back. And it was Zeus, in his anger and frustration at seeing us potentially rising to be as great as him, that split us, divided us in half, divided us between body and mind, divided us between male and female and those who don't fit. And it's that magical path that seeks that reconciliation, that seeks it both internally and externally. This is what it's all about. And it's not about that literal gender in the terms of culture or literal sex in the terms of biology. This is something far greater still, something that's intrinsic to the human expression that we all need to face and overcome, that we all need to unite. And that hermaphroditic energy, this again reminds me of Attis, right? That divine soul who recognizes that they have been drawn into the waters, that they are bound in the mud, right? And when they are able to look up and recognize themselves in that great mother, they're able to go through that process of divine imitation to ascend out of the mud and recognize where they have been. And the hermaphrodite is that penultimate moment before you realize that absolute imitation, before you reform that great mother, when you come together with the other in that expression of totality, before it's that penultimate moment before realization, right? So what we're seeing here is that by going along this magical path, by engaging in the self in such a deep, profound way, in many ways, we become removed from the world around us. We become disconnected from those who are bound in the earth, who are bound and divided, who have purposely divided themselves through ridiculous means, through a fear of change, through a fear of growth, through traditions, through things which seek to bind and control us, right? The hermaphrodite, the magician, moves beyond all forms, embodies all forms, moves with the poles. And to walk that middle path, you have to walk between all of this, right? To be the hermaphrodite in many ways is to remove oneself from connection to others, but at the same time is to be more embodied and more human than others. And this is what it means to be on that magical path. And what we're seeing here too is that in these moments where we feel like we are removed, where we no longer connect with the world around us, especially the humans around us, we need to understand that that's when the spirit is there with us most intensely, when the muses are there to hold our hand and to help us continue along this path, to avoid judgment. Because we also have to understand that we are also animals. Even as we arise and we try to embody a higher form, as we try to know the self, we are no different than anyone else. All that is different is that we have walked a different path and have come to some limited realization. But even these limited realizations can be lost. When we embody the muse, when we embody that Aphroditic love, we are able to move and flow and in truce. We can rise above and disconnect and observe, but still be connected to everyone, still love everyone and give them the respect that they deserve, while also disavowing the negativity and the violence and the binariness of those who are stuck in the mundane, right? Walk that magical path. Know thyself. Find your other and confront it, both internally and externally, in the myriad of forms. Expand your perspective and gain reason. Shine that light and learn where you need to walk. All right, let's continue. We are now going to go to Paradise Lost, Paradise Regained by Milton. Muses, what is the message from Milton? Inspire us this evening. All right. Kindles the gummy bark of fir or pine and sends a comfortable heat from far, which might supply the sun, such fire to use. And what may else be remedy or cure to evils which our own misdeeds have wrought? He will instruct us praying and of grace beseeching him, so as we need not fear to pass commodiously this life sustained by him with many comforts, till we end in dust our final rest in native home. In native home. You know, that ending, that death is enlightenment in many ways, right? And we need to embrace that fire, that desire that pushes us through the cycles until our own end, until we return to the earth, right? That sun, that fire gives us the strength, gives us the cure to overcome our baser natures, to rise above and to be responsible, to become that higher self. And we do it through going through this experience and embracing life, not hiding from it, not denying it, but facing it head on until the end, until we return to dust from which we came. And until that cycle repeats once more, ever and ever, until we learn how to ascend and escape the game. if we ever do. Wow. Let's continue. Okay. Women Who Run with Wolves. Myths and Stories of the Wild Woman Archetype by Clarissa Pinkola Estes. Muses, what is the message? From Christina Pinkola Estes. The cure for both the naive woman and the instinct injured woman is the same. Practice listening to your intuition, your inner voice. Ask questions, be curious, see what you see, hear what you hear, then act upon what you know to be true. These intuitive powers were given to your soul at birth. They have been covered over, perhaps by years and years of ashes and excrement. This is not the end of the world, for these can be washed away with some chipping and scraping and practice. Your perceptive powers can be brought back to their pristine state again. And therein lies the answer. How do you come to know thyself? How do you overcome naivety and injured instinct? You do it through exposure, through pursuing intuition and wisdom, through listening and asking. Right? Do you have the ears to hear and the eyes to see? Are you engaging in the world with that reason? Are you building your faculty of reason? Are you trying to understand and perceive the truth? That is how you know the self. That is how you move through the world and engage. And it is a practice. It is something that must be engaged with. We must scrape the dust off. We must exercise these muscles, and we have to learn to do it regularly and daily. Beautiful. All right. We're now going to go to Lorca, Three Tragedies. Muses, what is the message from Federico Garcia Lorca? Inspire us. You want me as you sometimes want a pigeon to eat. You want me as you sometimes want a pigeon to eat. What are pigeons? Pigeons are rock doves. Pigeons were the most sacred bird of Aphrodite. All of her temples had thousands of nests to pigeons, right? And this is also relating to that imagery of the consumption, right? The consumption, that desire to consume and to attack, that basal animal instinct. And it relates again to the muses, right? We must be able to overcome our baser selves so that we can confront that muse, that beauty, that Aphrodite. And when we see her, that beautiful dove, we do not seek to consume her. We said, instead, admire and listen to her beautiful song. We watch her soar among the stars and are contented to simply observe and be in her presence, to respect her for what she is. Beautiful. All right. Let's continue. We are now going to go to 10 Plays by Euripides. Muses, what is the message from Euripides? Inspire us this evening. When we had been sitting there for a long while, it occurred to us that the strangers who had been set free might kill her and run away. On the other hand, fear of seeing what we should not see kept us sitting in silence. Finally, we all had the same idea, to go where they were even though we had been forbidden. To go where they were even though we had been forbidden. Right? We have a bunch of this othering language here, the confrontation with the stranger, the assumptions of the mind leading to a fearful response that assumes the worst, violence and destruction. But we see that the key to overcoming that fear is engagement, perception, learning, listening, seeing, going where we are forbidden, and looking and analyzing and asking ourselves, why? My personal experience, growing up, I became as a young person very, very deeply religious, involved in Christianity. And I had to, in my early adulthood, confront that. And I confronted it by going to the places they told me not to look. And when I went and looked in the places they told me not to look, I did not find what they told me I would find. I found beauty and love. Nothing like they said. Nothing like they said. Even the things that were evil and disgusting by their measure were nothing like that. Maybe they were hard to comprehend, hard to cope with, hard to face, but they were not the monsters that these people had made out, that I had made out in my own ignorance, in my own mind. I had let my imagination rule me, and I judged the world falsely based upon the comments and perceptions of others rather than confronting it and seeing the truth for myself. You know, and this is what it means to go to the forbidden places, to look into that abyss and be transformed. We all have to learn to sit in that silence, to look, to be in the darkest moments. It is there where we confront the self, where we confront the other, where we can learn the truth and see things clearly. If you don't see the other, if you don't try to remove the veil, then you can never see what is actually there. You can never know the truth. You can never try to come to any form of compromise or understanding. It always leads to fear and extremes. All right, let's continue. We're now going to go to Lord Byron, selected poetry and letters. Muses, what is the message from Lord Byron? Inspire us this evening. Daughter of air, I tell thee since that hour, but words are breath. Look on me in my sleep, or watch my watchings. Come and sit by me. My solitude is solitude no more, but peopled with the furies. I have gnashed my teeth in darkness till returning morn, then cursed myself till sunset. I have prayed for madness as a blessing. 'Tis denied me. Wow. Daughter of air, I tell thee since that hour, but my words are breath. My words are breath. To speak words is to be engaged in that life, trying to ask and to confront. Look on me in my sleep or watch my watchings. Come and sit by me. My solitude is no more, but peopled with the furies. Come and sit by me because I am alone, and without you, the furies take hold. That anger arises when we are disconnected from community, from love, right? I have gnashed my teeth in darkness till returning morn, then cursed myself till sunset. I have prayed for madness as a blessing. 'Tis denied me. Prayed for madness rather than face the solitude, right? Rather than have to confront that which we don't want to confront. Wow. Interesting. Let's continue. We're now going to do our final sortes, and it's going to come from A Sinister Assassin by Antonin Artaud. Muses, what is the message from Artaud? Inspire us. For years now, I have been driven and been malevolently frozen by the dance of a horrendous world of microbes, exclusively sexualized microbes, among which I have been able to recognize in those particular spaces of life forced coercion, men, women, and children of modern existence. Microbes. What is he talking about? He's talking about confronting all these different aspects of the selves, those internal selves, that self that seeks out that consumption, that desire of flesh, those basal serpentine instincts that must be put into check. That sexualized nature of us, which brings about a forced coercion. It takes over the mind, and it happens to men, women, and children, all of us. Yeah, that daimonic force, daimones, Lares, the gnomes. You know? Wow. Amazing. Let us continue. We're now going to go to our tarot proper. But before I do, please give me a like and a subscribe. And if you're at all interested in a private reading, you can reach out to me, Snappy, ddts@gmail.com. And today we're going to be using the Tabula Mundi Tarot by M.M. Moline. And we will invoke the energy of Saturn and ask them to dissect our life, to expose it upon the plate and show us the interconnections so we can learn how to rise above the conflict, how to best move and flow, how to actualize our true will, and what is that greater message for our community. And I had a card shoot out at me. And as we know, the center card is always the most important. And today's center is the star. Beautiful energy, profound energy, energy of wish fulfillment, of engagement, of asking. Do you have the ability to wish upon the star, to go out under that dark night and to cry out for something greater, something better still? Do you have the ability to do the work, to manifest your dreams, to draw down that star into the reality? Beautiful. Let's see where this is going. Knight of Swords, the fire of air. Beautiful energy, right? The Knight of Swords is that energy of the masculine put into that responsible, outgoing protector, the one who pursues logic and defends reason and truth, who pursues truth and has the strength to embody it. That knight is the one who, with that reason, approaches that star and with that responsibility asks for something beyond the self, something that is greater for community, for others, right? Who has that reason and knows what to do. The message here is to embody that higher minded ideal, to be in that suit of the air, to look to the stars and to wish and to dream and to pursue the highest idealized forms. Where is this going? And to recognize your power here. The Two of Wands, dominion. In your hand, you have the crook and the flail, the lash and the reins. You are in control. You just must direct that desire through that reason towards that goddess, towards that transformation, towards that drawing down the star into the earth itself. Where is this going? Connected to that star, what do we see? We see a new beginning in the air, a new pursuit of reason and logic, a new tower to begin. What I'm seeing here is that by engaging with that star, with the force of that passion, that Two of Wands, that dominion, we see the path we need to take, how we ascend the mountain, how we pass through the eye of the needle and achieve that greater wisdom, that greater understanding, right? And it begins with that imagination. The star is all about imagination. The ace, especially in the air, is all about that imagination. It's about the taking root and beginning. Where are we going? What are we pursuing? What are we seeking to achieve? And in that air, it's about that grandiose understanding, that unveiling, that expanding our perspective to the absolute height so that we can see the universe from that perspective in its totality unfolding, right? And it is the night energy that will get us there. That responsible actor who moves towards and pursues truth with strength and selflessness. Let's continue. Oh, Fortuna. What intense, profound energy. You know, fate and fortune is that turning of the wheel. It is that inevitability. It is that pressure that impels us, that transforms us into something greater. When we experience the fortune, we have to ask, How do we rise above our present and manifest our desires into the future? How do we take the hand that has been given us and become our highest self? Fortune always deals the cards we need. She always puts obstacles in front of us that we can overcome, that we can learn to face, that will transform us into something greater still. I always bring her up and will bring her up again. Christine de Pizan, that great philosopher. When she lost everything, lost her husband, lost her father, she was a woman in France with dependables, children, and a mother. But she rose to the occasion. She overcame fortune and she became a man in the totality of form, embodied this and became a writer, provided for her family, provided for everything that she needed, and went even greater still, wrote the book of the City of Ladies and transformed philosophy. But it was through that impearling, through that pressure exerted by fortune. If not for that pressure, if not for that suffering, Christine de Pizan would never have been the great philosopher, right? And so we must look into our own life and we must look to see what is pressuring us. What do we need to change and adapt to? How can we rise to meet fortune? Let's see where this is going. The Seven of Wands, valor. We're seeing this clearly. How do we meet fortune? We must be true to our ideals. We must maintain that pursuit. We must be in that valor. We must strive to expand even greater than the success, in spite of the conflicts, in spite of the world around us. We continue to embody that high-minded ideal, that virtue, right? That virtue. So the key here is, in spite of the changing in fortune, in spite of the negativity and the pressure around us, we must maintain that reason, that image that we are striving for. And we must embody that valor, live our virtues, be true to our highest ideals. That is how we overcome that fortune energy. That's how we're refined by that fortune energy. The fortune energy will force us to be valorous, will force us to become that knight. The knights embody valor, right? Beautiful. Let's see where this is going. The Four of Wands, completion. What comes out of the star is not simply the ace, that beginning of that new imagination, that new form of how we pass through the eye of the needle, of how we make that ascent up the mountain, but also that forming of our purpose, that creating of a plan, that drawing into earth our desire into concrete form. The four is that foundational energy. And in the wands, it's about standing on that plateau of completion and recognizing, this is what I want. This is what I am building. The plans are put in motion. The foundation is laid. Now you know your purpose. And now that purpose must guide you through the rest of that cycle until you reach the climax at the 10. Beautiful. And that is what we ask that great mother for. That is what we ask for when we draw down the stars. That's what we work towards and pray towards, right? To bring that desire down into concrete plans and actions, to build that foundation in that energy of lust and love and transformation. And we ask her to inspire us, to give us that imagination, to show the potential way to succeed so that we can manifest it into the earth. Where are we going? The moon, the greatest mirror of all. That's Selene, that Mene, that great mother goddess in its most transcendent form. That lunar light is the unconscious. It is that reflection of the soul. It is going to the depths of the self and producing something out of that creative mind, something new, something transcendent, something transformative. How do we come to this conclusion, to this completion? How do we name our desire? We name our desire through self-reflection, through engaging the unconscious mind, through embracing the dream, through going out under the stars and looking at that moon and drawing her down. The moon is the greatest of stars, and that's the one we seek to draw first, right? It is that one that commands time, that commands the cycles, that is forever transforming and showing new faces. And it's that energy, that transformative, reflective energy that will give us the foundation, the image necessary to come to that completion and find our purpose, to give it form, to call it by name. Let's see where this is going. And then we see another form. When we can embody that lunar energy and we can engage with that completion of the Four of Wands, that purpose, then we can also embody the Knight of Discs. Just like the Knight of Swords, they are that selfless masculine, that outgoing force of transformation that seeks that high-minded ideal, the fire of earth, drawing that fire into the earth so that we can create and transform our physical reality. So what we see is when we engage in that self-reflection, when we embrace our purpose, we can embody that mature actor who can build it, who can literally do the work. And that's what we're being called for. The first step is to become that Knight of Swords, who can imagine, who can engage with that great mother, who can rise to the highest ideal, who can draw down that moon and imagine that path. But then once that imagination has been done, the next step is to reflect on it still and then to embody it into the earth, to build it in the physical. We must become both of these knights. First, we imagine and create the plan. Then we manifest it in reality, in that physical realm. All right. I'm now going to flip my cards, or my camera, so you can see all the cards. But before I do, please give me a like and a subscribe. And if you're finding this to be helpful in any way, please leave a comment. It really does boost everything in the algorithm. And if you're at all interested in a private reading, you can reach out to me, snappydts@gmail.com. All right, let's take a look at our full spread. All right, we start here with that Knight of Swords. We become the Knight of Swords when we embrace fortune, when we overcome the limitations, right? That Knight of Swords is that mature actor. They're not in that conflict, even though they are that Knight of Air, right? They're not engaged in needless conflict with others, but rather they're engaged in righteous conflict, in righteous pursuit of truth, and the defense of truth. They've moved beyond pettiness, right? This is not that prince energy. This is that mature actor who produces reason, who goes out and shines that light and learns about the other, right? And it comes through that deep reflection of self. We can embody that Knight when we go through that energy of reflecting and taking responsibility. And then we embody that Knight of Air when we meet fortune, when we accept our fate and we face it head on. And we embrace the transformation and we overcome what has been given us and arise to something greater still. That pursuit of knowledge and reason, of wisdom. All right, let's look at our star. When we can wish upon the star, when we can engage with that great mother and have the strength and discipline to bring our dreams into reality, that is when we find our purpose, when we give form to our desire, when we can imagine it as something tangible. That is when we can see how to build that tower, how to pass through the eye of the needle, how to ascend the mountain and gain the wisdom, where to shine a light and complete this path, how we go about all of this great work. Now, the Two of Wands, Dominion. Wow. On one hand, we're embracing all of this logic, learning to reflect upon the self, learning to imagine, learning to ask for what we want to imagine. But then it has to go from that imagination into that passionate fire that can then be embodied, that can then inspire and drive us. We take that imagination and we give it form in the Four. We draw it into form. And then what we see here with the Two of Wands and the Dominion in the Seven of Wands, Valor, in the Knight of Discs, is that the second step is to embrace that fiery desire, that lust energy, that passion, to pursue this with the totality of our being, to recognize our power and our ability, and to pursue valor, to hold true to our highest ideal. And when we can embody these energies, that's when we will become that mature actor who can build in the earth. It is that fire of desire that'll give us the strength to do what is necessary to build, to do the action, to do the work. And this is the knight who does the work, who lays the foundation, who builds the wall and mans the parapet. You know, they are not only that defender, but they are that builder. And it is through that fire that they're able to build. They are the fire of earth. And here we're seeing that fire is recognizing our power, our dominion, that expansive flow that out from us will inspire others, and recognize the need to be true to that image, to pursue that valor in spite of the conflicts, in spite of fortune. And when we embody that valor, we become that knight, that mature, selfless actor who rises above and builds and manifests in the physical, who gets stuff done. Wow, beautiful. Now let's see our crosses. Wow. We engage with that moon when we can ask her to be that reflector. We have to have the strength. Part of the valor is firing that fire onto the self, right? You know, to be a truly valorous person, we have to be in that state of refinement, of recognizing what our ideals are and pursuing them with the totality of our body, right? Engaging in that unconscious mind so that we can truly see the self and learn how to overcome those basal instincts through that desire, through that passion that will manifest that discipline that is necessary to draw down the star. Because this requires work, it requires engagement, it requires prayer. You must go out into the stars and engage with that mother, ask and give. Express that love, express that fire. It is that which she seeks. And when you can engage in that way with her, she can become that great mirror. She can show you the truth of yourself and help you to truly embody that valor. Beautiful. And then this cross. This is fortune. It's fated. This disciplined work, this process of engaging with that great mother, of going through all of this, is about eventually becoming that Knight of Discs. The Knight of Swords isn't enough. That's the first step that allows us to see reason, that allows us to imagine, that allows us to see that highest ideal. But eventually we, through that fortune, through that pressure which impearls us, that transforms us into diamonds, into pearls, when we can face that pressure of fortune, we can rise above and become that Knight of Discs. Can rise above and become that actor who builds in the earth, that selfless force of transformation and growth, that mature, responsible one who can do it. You know, everyone wants this energy. The Knight of Discs gets shit done. This is one of those energies we should all strive to manifest. And with the power of that goddess, we can. With the power of that fortune, we can. We just have to pursue that valor and be true to ourselves, to imagine that highest ideal, right? And to reflect, to engage with that unconscious and to see the flow. And when we can do that, we can truly connect to that goddess, to that great mother, to drawing down the star, to drawing down that moon and building it into the earth is that fiery foundation that brings the completion, that manifests our foundation. Beautiful. That's the energy, people. Meet fortune. Ask the universe for what you desire. Imagine a better world and reflect upon the self and have the strength to pursue that valor, to better the self, to be in that mode of transcendence, to become those knights, those selfless actors who pursue wisdom and pursue growth and creation. All right, that's the message. I hope it resonated with you. It certainly resonated with me. All right, we're going to do one final sortes and then we'll call it an evening. For our final sortes, we're going to go to Women Who Run with Wolves, Christina Pinkola Estes. Muses, what is the message from Dr. Christina Pinkola Estes? Inspire us. A woman's psychic tasks are these: learning fine discrimination, separating one thing from the other with finest discernment, learning to make fine distinctions in judgment, sorting the mildewed corn from the good corn, and sorting the poppy seeds from a pile of dirt, observing the power of the unconscious and how it works even when the ego is not aware, the pair of hands which appear in the air, more learning about life and death. The corn and the poppy, life and death. That Demeter energy, right? Demeter is the corn mother. She creates the barley corns, right? And she also creates that milk of the poppy, and she uses that milk of the poppy to sleep through the winter so that she can be reunited with her daughter in the spring, right? Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful energy. Learn fine discrimination. Separate one thing from the other with the finest discernment. Learn to make fine distinctions in judgment. This is all about embodying that reason, observing the power of the unconscious and how it works, even when the ego is not aware. Right? When you can do that, when you can recognize how your mind reacts, then you can overcome these reactions. You can know when you're going to be triggered, when you're angry, when you're upset. It immediately makes me think of the Buddha. What is the true magic of a Buddha? What do these Buddhas truly possess? It's just that, the ability to recognize one's emotion and let it go. They see the anger, and it's not that they overcome the anger, they see the anger, and it doesn't matter. They see the joy, and it doesn't matter. They see any of it, and they're able to put it back because they're so connected to the body that they understand, and they're able to allow their reason to command and overcome. But it comes from that deep understanding of the unconscious, being deeply embodied in the self, recognizing and learning through that ability of discernment. And this comes through the practice, through meditation and action, through separating the corn, through separating the poppies. Know thyself. All right, everyone. Peace and love. Thank you so much for joining us. And I hope I'll see you again tomorrow for more live tarot in sortes. Go out under the stars. Wish for something greater. Take care, my friends.